All right, welcome to another Mike, or not Mike's Money Motivation. Just Ask Mike Anything. So much content creation. Man, this has been fun. Nate and I just get on and we just shoot the shit, and having him as a co-host to this has been awesome. And even, as you may have heard some episodes with people asking their own questions, it's just a cool dynamic. Unfortunately, we don't have everybody willing to submit. Like, one person already said no thanks, and I'm like, then why did you even ask the question to begin with? I don't understand. But we're excited about seeing that as a new part of the segment. But Nate, how are you, bud?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here again. I feel like it's been a while since we've had a recording session.
I know we're gonna try to knock out a bunch today. So try to get a little bit ahead with WinCon coming up and travel and all types of stuff. Let's try to get a little. We're gonna try to get a little bit ahead this week. So, what you got for me today?
Hey Mike, what do you call an angry carrot?
Oh man, can I tell you the first thing that comes to mind is a hoot vegetable? I don't know why. Because he's hot. Like,
And you're not far off. You're
okay,
not far off at
a
all.
hoot vegetable.
The answer is a steamed veggie.
Got it. Got it. I'm more of a roasted carrot guy, so I wouldn't have gotten that one. A hoot vegetable. All
Oh my gosh.
right, man. Let's get going.
Question one, Sherry D asked, if you could open a new business as a solopreneur right now, not coaching, what would it be and why?
I honestly, I've been thinking a lot about this, like kind of as WinRate begins to run itself and I get more time, like, because look, there's a lot of people out there that judge the coaching world for not doing anything, right? And I had an excavation company that I exited. I have the nonprofit, but like I haven't built a company other than a coaching company completely from scratch by myself. Like even the grading company, I had a partner when we started that, and he kind of ran the operational side. I ran the office finance sales side. And so like I didn't build that alone. Um, and so I honestly I could guesstimate right now what I would want to do, but under the research I've done, I've really kind of considered some form of a franchise where I don't have to build systems and processes from scratch. I just have to do what I'm great at. Like I'm great at leadership. I'm great at putting the right people in position to succeed. I'm not great at SOP documentation. I'm not great at the bullshit. I'm not great at like things that don't make sense. I'm not great at non-logical things you have to create due to laws and taxes. And like, I'm just good at building people, in my opinion. Maybe Nate has a different opinion of that, but I think my skill set is leadership. And so if I had a system that I could, make my own, and I don't know exactly what that would be. And like based on my experience of coaching franchise owners, I would be very disciplined in what type of franchise agreement I got into to give myself protection. But I think that and or buying a business would be the next step.
Yeah.
I don't think I would like I view her solopreneur as like, what would you start from scratch? I don't think I would at this point start something from scratch again. I think I would either buy a business, buy into a franchise, buy something or get involved in something that's kind of already there, because I can take something that has some foundation and build a lot faster than having to like develop everything from scratch. Um, but I don't know exactly. I can't picture myself doing anything but coaching, honestly. There's nothing I look at like, oh, I wish I was in that industry, I wish I was doing that, or I wish I had that. I don't really deal with that very much. I really like what I do right now, so it's hard to picture it. But I don't know, what I mean, like if you were saying, Mike, this is what business I would tell you to go do, what would you suggest for me? I mean, you've known me long enough now. If you were
What
coaching
would
me,
my
Nate, and I said, Nate, I've worked myself out of my business. I'm no longer needed day to day. I have great systems and processes. We're profitable. Cash flow's there. Debt's low. Cash balances and safety nets there. We're set. I got time. Nate, what as my coach, Nate, what would you tell me to go do?
and you're so passionate just about the coaching side. Um, I don't know, because the skill set though applies to any business, but anything in the trades, service-based business and things like that. Like I think you can make a dent in any of those, for sure. And then you could get into the more like marketing content space. And it'd
Yeah.
be interesting to see what you could add there from, teaching people to speak and create content and things like that.
But
I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't have like a specific thing, I don't think.
Yeah. And I get not starting from scratch because why would you go through the whole proof of concept and all that again when you could just skip it?
Yeah, and I just don't like, if I look at my specific situation right now, if Sherry D is saying right now, Mike, in today's environment, I don't have the capital to go lose, right? Anytime you're building something from scratch, you better be prepared for a capital investment that you may or may not get back. And
Right.
I rather buy something. I've looked at the books, I've looked at the employees, I've looked at the cash flow, I've looked at the client flow, I've looked at their experience, I've looked at the potential or the gaps of a business, saying I can make improvements here, here, and here. Let's take this to the next level. That sounds a lot more appealing to me right now than going through the proof of concept phase, because the business, like WinRate's, we got good cash reserves right now. And for good cash reserves, like we have between 200,000 and 300,000 in cash right now. We're cash flowing the business. I mean, it's tight on some things because of the amount of events we have this time of year between WinCon and Hall of Fame, TCC, and all these things. But so we have a couple 100,000 in cash reserves right now, but I'm not pulling that out of WinRate. That's not enough for me to take half of it and say, let me go invest in this other from the ground up, right?
Yeah.
This proof of concept type concept. So that's where I think the hesitation would be currently. In a couple of years, if I have, $500 to $1 million in cash reserves and I want to take 250 grand and say, I'm going to go bet this on a new idea, I'd probably be more apt to do that. But right now, as it sits, based on the timing of this question, I would say I rather, do something with, something that's already in place some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, I agree. Maybe we start an acquisition business and you get in the acquisition space.
I mean, there's a lot of people I know that have had success in that space. That purchase to the intent to grow to exit. I don't hate it. I just don't know if I would enjoy it. I get the purpose of it, but it's not, unless I may be mistaken, and there may be some outliers here, and I'm open to your input here on this, Nate, because I don't know for sure, but it feels like it takes a lot of the human element out of business, because you're basically making the numbers look right to sell. And so you're inflating things here or under investing there, or you're putting people in position to just make it as valuable to a purchaser as possible. Not the best client experience, not the best employee experience, not investing in new technologies or changing things. Sometimes it's just a matter of making it as valuable, getting EBITDA where you need it to get the multiplier you want. And that just seems like it takes too much of the human element out of it for me. Like, I love the human aspect. I don't do this for the money. I'm not trying to pad my bank account. I'm trying to impact humans. And so in an acquisitions environment, it seems more like you're just trading tokens, which are like people's fucking livelihoods.
Correct.
And I don't know if I get it. I'm not against it. I just don't know if I would personally enjoy that space.
I mean, there are buy and hold acquisition companies that are like M&A companies that their goal is to get companies at a discount, come in, fix systems, processes, bring in key leadership, and actually grow the company, not with a short-sighted intent to sell in the next few years. You might be looking at holding it for 15, 20 years or turn it into a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different exit strategies for M&A companies. And if it's cash flowing, why would you rush out of it? Like fix
And
it,
I
lose
can
it.
see myself getting into more some equity plays as a coach,
Yeah.
like board member, consultant, coming in and saying, hey, you're at 3 million, you want to get to 20. I want more than just a retainer to help you do that. You believe I bring value. I believe I bring value. Let's bring me in as more of a partner. I could see me doing that before buying and selling of entities. I don't think I would personally enjoy it. What would you do if you were starting from scratch right now? Would it be a honey business? Harvey's honey?
No, Harvey's honey. Coming this summer, by end of
He's
summer, we'll be
clearly
launched.
marketable.
Yes, it will sell. I don't know. It would not be agriculture related unless I was trying to milk government money, and I don't want to do that. Agriculture is a tough world. Even the beekeeping world is just so crash and burn. Like you have a bad crop year, or you have a bumper year for your first year, and you like do it really good, and then you spend your money thinking that's normal, and then you crash and burn the next. Like that agriculture's tough. I would probably be in some kind of marketing, videography space is probably where I would go next. And I would try to future proof myself from like all my eggs in one basket. And I would definitely stay away from retail, restaurant space, and all of that, just because when COVID hit, it really showed us how like dangerous and one-sided that could be if the government decides to like shut down your town or whatever, and then your income goes to like 10% of what it was and stuff like that. So I think something that could be done remotely, virtually, things like that is where I would try to focus in the marketing space. Because if you can master that and know how to get eyeballs, you can sell anything. So then
I
it's
mean,
just
video is
when people
definitely
start
not
paying.
going away anytime soon. I mean, I think we can all
Yeah,
agree with that.
correct. So marketing,
So,
I would go focus on being the best marketer for whatever target audience I decided on.
would you go vertical or horizontal? I
Give
would
me an
struggle going.
example.
I would struggle getting verticalized again. Like I don't know if I would attach myself to an industry again. I think I would go a different route next time.
Yeah, and go cross industry.
I
Yeah,
think
I
I'd
think
probably
so.
go like
I think you
professional services. If I was doing content or marketing right now, I would attack the professional services market like crazy because they
Yeah,
suck at selling.
legal, doctors.
Yes, chiropractors, dentists, all those types. Like some of that can be considered retail, but I would go professional services or healthcare
Right,
as a
for sure.
marketing or video person.
Correct.
Because
I think
basically
so.
all of those industries are just, can you build a personal brand? Like, are you an attractive character for your industry? Like, and I'm really good at that, I believe.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the industry I would go at next.
Well, I have a buddy, he exclusively markets for podiatrists, for
Yeah.
doctors,
Yeah,
and is
perfect.
absolutely just killing it.
Hey.
Okay, next question. Eric Fields asks, if you had to play a round of golf with anyone, who would it be? And what three things would you ask them?
These questions I think are fun, but sometimes kind of annoying to be honest with you.
Mia picked it, not me.
Yeah. But it's just like, I mean, it's so hard to answer that question. Like one person, like, and then what three things would you ask them? Like, I don't think about strategy like that, I guess. But if I had to pick one person, the first one that came to mind, like, I'm really on a kick right now. And like, what's Elon Musk doing next? Is like this, it's been this constant theme of thought for me, right? Because he's been so ahead of the curve. And so my question would be, one question would be, Elon, what is your approach to implementing AI in a non-threatening way? Because like that's going to be the risk, right? Is like these AI programs are already starting to self-learn. So
Right.
that's threatening, right? Like Skynet's real. Like that is a real thing. Like it's even Chat GPT is getting smarter. You can actually like as a user, I've seen this. People have programmed Chat GPT to go against its own rules. Like there are like protocols in place to stop Chat GPT from doing certain things that if you put in the right order of commands, it'll go against its own rules. Like that's scary, right? So I would say like, okay, Elon, what is your non-threatening utilization of AI going forward? Two, I would look at Elon, what do you believe 20 years from now will be the top career path? Right? Like what can I be setting my kids up for success now? Right? Not that they
Yeah.
need a career, but even if you're starting a business, a career is still about what is needed. Elon, what do you believe is going to be needed in 15 to 20 years from a position, skill set, career development perspective? And then third, I'd be like, yo, can I borrow like, or just kind of, can you grant me $1 million? I just need $1 million real quick, if you don't mind.
Elon's a good choice. I kind of thought you would pick him too, just from conversations we've
Yeah,
had.
we've had enough of these conversations. I'm very enthralled with like, I believe I'm somebody that kind of goes against the grain a lot of times. And I don't know anybody that's gone against the grain publicly as aggressively as Elon. I believe he's even more against the grain than Trump was at the time, like 5 years ago. Like, I believe
Oh yeah, no,
Elon,
for sure.
like the way he's like went in and basically he took a company like Twitter, bought it, fired 85% of people, and are still operating at the same capacity. How the fuck? Like, not only how did he do that, but why was it being done a different way before? Right? Like, I have so many questions. So, yeah, Elon. I bet he
I
sucks
like
at
that
golf too.
one. Probably. I mean,
Yeah,
I've seen him on Instagram Reels with his shirt off. So
yeah. He doesn't strike me as like, athletically gifted.
I don't think he cares.
Yeah, no, zero care in the
He'll just
world.
buy the golf course
Yeah,
and set his own.
no, I think that's
That's a
what I
good
would ask. What
choice.
about you? What do you got? Who you got? Who would you go golfing with, and what 3 questions would you ask?
Oh man.
It's hard, right? It's like an annoying question. Makes me think too
Yeah,
hard.
and I always try to pick somebody random because we have questions like this all the time. I think I would go with um we'll go with someone from like Abraham Lincoln era. Let's go with Abraham Lincoln. And my 3 questions while playing golf with him would be like, um, you know, like what gave you the strength to stand up to like the such a like a outdated system and start creating that change, like to be a
Yeah.
leader for change in a like a difficult situation economically because of the impact that would have on society at the time.
And you got to
So I'd
be
ask him
really
that.
sure. You have to be really freaking sure to take on what he took on. You know what I mean? Like, really sure.
Oh, yeah, he had to have the no doubt mindset for sure. Like,
Like,
like
there was zero
this is the
doubt.
way
Like,
I'm going.
yeah.
I'm committed. There's no
You're
way
fully
out.
committed.
Yeah, he's fully in. So I think I'd talk about that. Um, and then my follow up on that would be like, were there times along the way on that journey? Because that's years of journey, not just like a moment, right?
Yeah.
Of like, were there times where he had like self doubt, and how did he overcome that? When he's facing so much, you know, public adversity, and that's in a time where it's not like it is today. Today, that would be even more tough because it'd be coming at you 24/7.
Can you imagine like Lincoln with an Instagram account? Like, like, he would just get turned off. He would just get shut down. He would have been difficult to implement what he did in today's environment with access to information and speed of information.
Yeah, I think that would be my 2 questions. I wouldn't have a third. I think those are the two that would take a long time for him to
Yeah,
talk
it's
through.
like third question. Do you want a hot dog at the turn? Got it. Cool. Like,
Got it.
all right, next question.
Luke Laban asked, when you started your podcast, how long before you began to get traction that you considered to be significant? And then when would you consider your podcast to be a worthwhile investment of your time? And what benefits other than just downloads and views do you see from it? So a 3-part question.
All right, so I'll go in order here. So I think like I take his question of when is it the right time to invest your time in a podcast? I would say immediately. I think it's the easiest, cheapest, simplest format of content that you can consistently create that is as incredibly evergreen. Like I was looking at it, March was another record month for us. And I was looking at the data and like we're still getting downloads on episodes from 2019. And so like the evergreen value of an individual episode is immeasurable in my opinion. Because the same thing on the YouTube channel, like video is just more complex than audio because you just need more shit. But like our top 5 videos in the last 28 days are from 2019 and 2020. And so they started slow, and then you see the views just this hockey stick at 2 or 3 year mark. You can't plan for that. So the best time to start is now. Like creating consistent content now differentiates you from everybody who doesn't. So first question now. I'll say the benefits, just I think is a good next one. Then we'll talk about when did I start getting meaningful downloads. The benefit right now would be just authority building, influence building, audience growth. Like I look at the YouTube channel, the Facebook group, the Instagram, the Facebook, the client base as each individual, we'll say, puzzle piece of the machine has grown. It all has grown. And so it's not one thing that's that's been the biggest growth factor, right? Podcast drives YouTube views drive podcast listens. It all drives the Facebook group. It's a consistent theme that each of the individual pieces. So additional authority has come with additional revenue generation, more clients, more coaches, more staff, more event opportunities, more interview opportunities, all of those things. I don't monetize the podcast. I don't have any sponsors. I don't take, I've had a few, I've probably had a dozen or so people interested, and I'm not taking $500 to let somebody dictate one of my episodes. It's just not worth the money. At some point I do have a vision of like a title sponsor of WinRate that would be like the sponsor for the podcast, the YouTube channel, the content, the events, like one overarching giant sponsor of it all for a very large sum of money would be the what I'm visioning. Not hey, sponsor an episode for $500. It'd be like become the WinRate sponsor for $100,000 kind of thing. That's the vision of kind of holding off to find that right partnership once the brand gets to a certain level. But you can't buy influence and authority, and we're seeing that aggressively right now with online personas and influencers, quote unquote, who try to buy followers, and it killed their engagement, who try to like buy the shit to make them look special, but there's nothing actually there. So you physically can't buy influence and authority. People have tried. And so putting out consistent content allows people to engage with who you are, to build your influence and authority through value exchange, not I'm just running ads to be in front of your face. Like I'm actually bringing you value, which makes you know, like, and trust me, which increases my influence and authority. So like that's the benefits of it. And I think from day one, like you just never know, like as far as like when did downloads become meaningful? It took me, I remember we hit our first 1,000 total, which was like almost 4.5 months after we started. I've been releasing at least one episode of a podcast every week since September 2019. So we're 3.5 years. I have never missed a week. We went 72 weeks with one episode a week, and then I actually went to close to 100 at one episode a week, and then we added 2 a week, and now we're at 3 a week. But as far as meaningful downloads, I remember how excited I was for the first 1,000. Like there was a fucking comma, right? I remember my first 1,000 download month was meaningful to me. And then my first 1,000 download week was meaningful to me. And then in March, we had our first 1,000 download day. Right. So it's like, they're all meaningful because it shows progress and it shows that the audience is getting value from what I'm saying. I think people have this, I'm not saying Luke specifically, I know him, I don't think he looks at his podcast this way, but I think people look like, well, if I don't have 10,000 downloads a day, I'm not doing anything. Like, bro, I need 100 clients a year for us to be wealthy, like as a team, not just Mike Claudio. Like, so 1,000 downloads in a day, and I only need 100 clients a year for us to hit revenue targets. Like WinRate's average client value is, I think, 42,000 a year. Right. So 100 clients is like 4.2 million. I don't need thousands of clients to be successful. So if I get, I think we hit 12 or 13,000 downloads this March. And that's incredible. That's meaningful. It's all been meaningful. And if you look at it as any part of it wasn't meaningful, then I feel like you're just measuring the wrong scoreboard. Because if you're looking at it strictly as how many listens or downloads did we get, you're going to get disappointed, because we've looked at this, right, Nate? We've had like 2-3 months of growth, and then 1 month plummets. And then the next month is huge growth. Like if we look at just the last, like this is just the craziness of content distribution. If we look at the last several months, I think this is important because you can't find this information elsewhere. I tried. So if I look at the last 5 months, it went 7,500, 9,400, 9,500, 10,600, 7,800, and then this month will be like 12,500. That's a 1,000 download difference between February and March. And that's not because February was a short month. Like that's right. And so if you look at it as, oh, what are my numbers? Oh my God, it dropped. Let me freak out. Maybe my content isn't good enough. Let me change. No, I've stuck to a consistent cadence of I'm going to put out content that I believe is valuable to me. And the audience has proven to continue to grow. So I'm not sure if there was a meaningful amount because like this would be a bad hour for Joe Rogan, right? Like my month is a bad hour for that man. So it's like all relative, right? But I'm happy with the growth, but it's just like it's this up and down like everything else. So I think those are good. That's how to answer all those questions. What do you think? Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment of how you've watched me kind of manage this?
Yep, that's a fair assessment. Just do the content. If it helps one person, that's all you need, and keep going. Like, it will grow. Like you've proven, just the consistency over time has led to consistent growth.
That's it. All right, guys. Nate, thank you so much. We got a few more to record, so we're going to cut this one as it is. As always, you guys keep asking the questions, and I'll keep answering them so that you can win fast and win often.